Hello and welcome to episode 132 of Gamers and Lost Spark podcast. I'm your host Anthony Chesson, and joining me this week, it's the other spark on the pod, a man who spends his nights sailing the seas and his days feeling minifig packets. It's Mr. James Thomas.
I feel a lot of packets. I feel context is needed. Hi, how are you doing, Anthony?
I'm not too bad, sir. So how are you in these little minifig packets?
Oh, they're good. We're good. So for complete context, to make it sound like it's not as weird, it's still weird.
It's weird.
So Ali and I like to buy the sealed bag Lego minifigs.
Yes.
And I think we've got a reputation around Nuneaton for just basically standing by the boxes, being Asda or Waterstones or WH Smiths, and just furkling them. Just like feeling the packets and trying to figure out what accessories, what wigs, and just trying to figure out the characters before we buy them.
Yes.
And the last sequence they did was the Harry Potter minifigs. And we knew we wanted them all. So rather than throw caution to the wind and spend hours in, as I said, like Asda or WH Smith, we just bought a whole box.
Wow.
We just bought a whole 60 minifig box.
That's amazing.
There was a certain thrill of the chase. Like, it reminded me of when I decided to get the PlayStation VR. Just that one day, just ringing around the shops, have you got an open box? Have you got an open box? And managed to dash to WH Smith's after work, get a completely sealed box, and just like pretty much skipped out of there. I think the woman behind the till thought I was nuts spending that much on just like minifigs. But yeah, over the course of the last week or so, Ali and I have been like gently like 3 or 4 a day, just figuring out who we've got, yeah, and we've managed to find the complete set without dupes.
Wow!
So we are very happy with our Lego Fertling talents at this point, and the rest of the minifigures are being dispatched to friends and family as we speak. But yeah, it's very therapeutic for anyone who hasn't tried to Fertle a minifig packet. I would say just kick back on a sofa and just let the little crinkly noises just send you off into some sort of like deep meditation as you try and figure out, is that an owl? Or is that, someone's hair? It's beautiful. It's just like a serene sense of toy pleasure.
So you still did that. So as you kind of like every night when you're kind of when it's minifig packet time, were you guys trying to guess? So you both kind of felt the same packet. I can feel an owl. I can feel an owl.
Not so much the same packet. We just like both take a packet and then try and figure out who it is first.
Right.
And it's like a race that's not a race.
Yes.
But, yeah. The completeness is the thing, not the speed.
And then the smugness when
I
you're right.
have to blame my brother for these. There's a smugness. Yeah, we got all 22 characters without opening a single dupe, so we were as smug as anything.
Oh my goodness, that is amazing.
Yeah, I have to say, I have to thank my brother for these skills. He taught us the ways of Fertling, and so it is skills we have tried to pass on to other friends at this point.
So what are you feeling? Are you feeling when they had the Hot Dog Man a couple of series ago, now that's easy. That's an easy one. Maybe that's a starter Fertile. It's just like...
Yeah, that's... You got to go for the easy, low-hanging fruit at some point.
Yes.
So like in the last series, they had a man dressed up as a birthday cake, and so the packet was just huge by comparison. But yeah, you got to like look what the accessories are, you got to look what their hairstyle is, and what it isn't is as important as what it is.
Right.
It's maybe this is the new Guess Who. Maybe we can pitch this to like MB, going like, forget your flip things. Like, can you have a Fertling Guess Who so we can, make this go further?
That's just so cool. You never have to open the packet. You just kind of like peel back something, because otherwise, this game would only last one go, and then you would then just peel back and go, yes, it's this anything.
But in this day and age of like loot boxes and stuff like that, that's exactly what they'd want.
Yes, extra content, and then they could bring out series. This has got legs.
Guess Who Legacy Edition. Yes.
Let's not publish this podcast. We can keep this as our own idea. So, apart from feeling those minifig packets, how's your week been, James?
Yeah. Apart from some spectacular Lego opening, we've been away camping the last few days.
Yes,
and it's been a very relaxing time. Actually, we've had the tent for 2, maybe 3 years, and we thought it was probably finally time to actually use it. And so we popped up to Steve's neck of the woods, went up to Yorkshire Way to use our English Heritage membership. So we visited some castles, some abbeys, a Cold War bunker as well to get a complete range. And we just booked into a lovely little field in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
And just sat... Like it rained as ever. If you decide to go camping or put up a barbecue, it rained, but there's something very pleasing about just sitting in your porch. We had, little lamp on, just reading and just hearing the pitter-patter of the raindrops on the canvas. It was just very, very relaxing, just seeing just the nature at work outside. Far better than I would say a couple of weeks ago if we'd have gone when it would just be boiling hot and would just be boiled in the bag. I'd prefer the rain over the heat when in a tent.
Yes, you do not want to be in a tent in 32 degrees, do you? You'll be
no.
That'll be steamy when you open it up in the morning. Oh, superb. So did you take your Switch with you? Because, now that you have a portable, now that you have... were you tempted to take some games, or were you trying to be kind of away from all that and then read?
No, I did take the Switch in the end. I did think about whether I did want to switch off, but I do remember, it's probably been about 4 years since we've been camping previously, and I can remember when it gets to late at night, the light isn't good enough to read, in my opinion.
Right.
So it's I'll just take my Switch, because then at least just put some headphones on when the sun goes down and just chill with that. Ali's got a podcast on doing some crochet or what have you, and I'll sit down playing a Switch. It did feel a bit like I couldn't detach from modern life at that point in time, but hey, I've relaxed. I've done some cultural stuff during the day.
Yes.
This is my relaxed time. No one can judge me for this. So yeah, I was sat in the middle of a field playing some Dead Cells on the Switch, but I didn't take the charger.
Right.
This was trying to be me moderating myself, because I thought I've got 3 hours. 3 hours over 3 days. That's probably a fair amount of time to spend on it. So I don't want to try and ruin the holiday just by going, no, we can't go. I've just got to get this boss. One more run. It's fine. Good weapons. Go.
But I must admit, I mean, we'll get to Dead Cells in a moment, because that just seems to be, kind of taking over our chatter at the moment. But I've noticed that on the Switch, playing Dead Cells on the Switch, it really holds the battery. So I went up and back to Manchester yesterday, and pretty much normally I work on one of those journeys. But yesterday, because I was playing Dead Cells, I just pretty much kind of just played Dead Cells all the way up and back. So that's like a good 4 hours train journey, and I still had battery left to spare for the kind of last little journey from Charing Cross to Tunbridge Wells. So I was just I was very happy at it. Where when you're normally playing those bigger games like Mario, Odyssey, or Zelda, you see the battery kind of go a little bit quicker. But there was something about Dead Cells that just seemed to kind of just keep that battery kind of going. So I was quite impressed.
Playing it in a dark tent where there's no surrounding light as well, you can really just knock the auto brightness down, knock the brightness all the way, turn it onto airplane mode, every bit of battery optimization required as well.
Oh my god, yeah, no, I never thought about that. That's really cool. That's fantastic. So will you be going, so now that the tent is finally out after a couple of years, will you be going somewhere again? Have you started thinking about kind of your next tenting adventure? Yeah,
we've got another holiday planned later in the year, but I think this time we're going to go somewhere sunnier, somewhere warmer.
Right.
For some early December, late November sun. But we want to go again next year, definitely.
Right.
We've made sure we've got enough pegs. There's no holes in it. We can't fall back on any excuses. We enjoyed it, so yeah, we want to try and go away for a bit of maybe springtime camping fun. But yeah, next time I think we just want to then flip to the other side. Some beach, some relaxation, some heat.
Yes.
Preferably all inclusive, because I can remember last time we went, the amount of gin and cake I had that week. You don't get that in a tent.
That's it. Go all inclusive and just kind of hit that bar. That's just that's fantastic. Superb. So
how has your week been? Have you been up to much?
No, my week's been quite quiet actually. It's been quite a quiet week since the last pod. We at the weekend we've kind of, over the years, we've been kind of doing up the house, and the conservatory, or the horrible thing at the back of the house, as we like to call it, has kind of really kind of had a bit of a abuse, where we've just been putting paint tins, and we've been putting just everything as we've been kind of decorating. It's just been piling up. So we decided to start clearing it, getting ready for that part of the final part of the kind of the house, the makeover of the house. So we basically kind of, what started off as a quick kind of, I found out I can take some paint to the tip, turned out to an all day, let's just get rid of everything, let's just get rid of everything from the conservatory. Because I did find out, I was quite excited, this is how sad I am, I found out that I could take empty paint tins and 1 tin of 5 litre paint to the tip per run.
No, I'm of a similar age, Anthony, so I can appreciate this is the good shit.
It was amazing. So because of course I've only got a 2-seater car, so there's only so much I can take. So I get there and I'm a bit coy about it. I've got a big bag and I said to the guy, I said, I've got paint tins and I've got 1 tin of paint. And he was like, yeah, fine, just put it in household waste. And I was like, but it's a full paint. I was expecting some kind of, I had to sign a waiver. But before that, in the garden, I was working out, like emptying all the half-open tin of paint so I could get it into the 5-litre. It was like a maths exam in there. So I had 4 5-litre paint tins and they were all kind of like 3/4 empty, and then I had to kind of just keep topping them up. And then I've got paint tins out to dry at the moment for this weekend's fun time. You know, it was amazing. I've never felt so alive.
I've never heard the term amazing used in that context before. This must be a new definition. But
so I did one run.
There is something cleansing, though, isn't there? Just about getting rid of the junk at that point, especially if it's been there a while.
I hate it because every time I open up the cupboard, there's all these half-open tins and paint that we decided not to use, and I'm paint from the people who lived here before, who thought it was nice for them to leave that nice pale blue colour that we painted over the moment we got here. You know, it was all that kind of stuff. And so it's irked me. You know, I've laid awake. It's been in my to-doist for ages to get rid of paint tins, and suddenly doing it. In the evening, we kind of, when we were absolutely just cream crackered, and we just kind of relaxed. I had a couple of beers from the beer boutique in Tunbridge Wells, and we watched Infinity War. So we watched Avengers Infinity War, which is on streaming services on Apple and etc. So we just sat there and watched that, and it was really nice. You know, I had to fight the temptation to nod off, but the movie's so good that I kind of stayed awake. But I was just halfway through, I'm like, I'm really sleepy, but I just got another beer and that helped. But it was really cool. But that was kind of the highlight of my week. It doesn't get any better than that.
It's up from here, because just think of all the possibilities that room can now be. So.
Yes. Yeah, we just want to, do we knock it down? Do we just kind of like build some other stuff? There's plans and graphs and pieces of paper and Nicola's drawing on her iPads. Yeah, post-its, and it's like, okay. It's all go. So, apart from all the DIY, what have you been playing, James?
Well, I think going back to what we were talking about on the Switch, I've been drawn into Dead Cells, because I know you spoke about it briefly last week, didn't you? You said that it's basically Matt's fault. Matt absolutely has persuaded us all to install Dead Cells, and truth be told, I initially only installed it because I felt I needed to talk about something other than the game that I always talk about, that I feel like I'm shilling for on the podcast. So yeah, I installed it primarily just to have something else to talk about.
Yes.
But I've really, really enjoying it. I had a massive crush on Rogue Legacy a good few years ago. And again, Matt and I both love that. We like going back and forth, like exchanging tips, exchanging runs on that. And Dead Cells seems to be this evolution, I guess, as these, I guess, like run-based platform games have come back into vogue in the last few years. They're constantly trying to push in different areas, I guess. You know, new ones try and push in different ways, but Dead Cells seems like a combat evolution of what Rogue Legacy was. Because Rogue Legacy I really enjoyed because something like Spelunky, to go off on I never got to grips with, because although you improved as a player on run to run, I never enjoyed the fact that nothing continued from run to run other than your skill level. I need some element of persistence, some notion that you are improving, and Rogue Legacy was the first real game that gave me that, where you could buy skills, you could improve your stats, and so you would be physically better to cope with the castle from the word go. Dead Cells doesn't necessarily do that, but whereas it might lose that, it just improves on the combat in so much. Like Rogue Legacy was a hack and slash, and I still love it, whereas Dead Cells just gives you a whole host of different weapons to try and play with. Like each of you basically have 4 weapons. You can have a couple of melees or bows, and then you have some traps and grenades, and you can combine them in some really interesting ways, and put together with a really fluid like combat tuck and roll system, so you can just dodge danger. This is just a hectic melee at times of just sprites exploding on screen as you dash in, slash, duck, avoid the attack, go back in, throw down a trap, maybe just execute them at close range with a bow. There is just an energy and fluidity to everything that goes on screen that I've just been sucked in so quickly to it. Like usually I find there's a warming up period, but even early on, even with some of the starting weapons that you can get with just a normal sword and the starter bow, or even the shield, you can do so many nice things with the enemies and the evasion, stuff like that. The combat, I just absolutely love it. I mean, how have you been getting on with it?
Yeah, no, absolutely, exactly the same. It was one of those things where the first couple, again, Matt was kind of saying how much he loved it, so he was the pusher of Dead Cells, and so I thought I'll give it a go, and I think it was because I was doing 3 or 4 journeys. I thought I need something new to play on the Switch, and after the first couple of goes, I was trying to kind of get my head around what it was, what I was doing. I never played Rogue Legacy, so I never really kind of had that kind of going into it, and then suddenly I realised that I'm adding to my stats, I'm finding blueprints, I'm leveling up this character before I even start, and then it all just clicked, and then I just absolutely just love playing it. I think you said it today on Twitter, it's almost like you have this amazing run, and then you just go back to basics again, and then you have to then kind of go back from the start. You then have to get that starter sword, in my case, you get your starter bow, and then you just then kind of build back up, but the weapons that you've unlocked are going to be there. You're going to find them a lot easier, you're going to get them, they'll be more available, and I just absolutely love it. I love the vulnerability that you have right at the start compared to how you are. I mean, I've got about 2 levels past the first boss, so I haven't got to the second boss yet, but by that point I'm feeling the enemies are ramping up, but I'm also feeling empowered, and I'm feeling like I can just kind of take anything, and the fact that I'm trying to do it. At one point, I think I tried to do quite fast to try and get to those levels that unlock, but I was always 5 seconds, 30 seconds out, so I'm just trying to just kind of go through it methodically and trying to get to the end now rather than trying to do a fast run. But it's just the fact that you can just, depending on how you're feeling and what you want to do, you can play this game in different ways, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I think one thing we've failed to mention so far is that each of the levels are procedurally generated.
Yes.
So every time you go in, the castle layout is completely new. And so you, as you said, there's timed gates. Like, you need to get to the first door of the second level in 2 minutes to get the timed gate, to get a bonus drop of some souls, to then cash in for blueprints and things like that. But because the level's different every time, you've got no guarantee of where you need to go. Do you need to go up, down, left, right? And I've been practicing the last couple of days. Like, is it better to run through, like literally just because actually one of the mechanics I absolutely adore is the fact that if you roll, you just go through an enemy.
Yes.
And I think that brings up so many possibilities, be it like defensive, offensive, or for this case speed running. You can just roll through an enemy without taking damage and just book it on to the next part. And the first time you get a timed door, I was like, yes! I just feel like I've just like dodged death, like scampered through, and but I am finding, and this is my own take, that I don't think rushing through to the time gates is as advantageous as I think it might be built up to be, because I feel that if I've run through, I've missed all the power-ups, I've missed the chests that might give me better weapons, I've missed the scrolls that might allow me to improve my stats, just for the sake of like 10 souls, and souls you need to collect to unlock blueprints. But yeah, so instead I've decided I'm just going to methodically go through and just slaughter everyone. I mean, it might take me longer, but I feel like if I can get 2 or 3 stat boosts, if I can get a couple new weapons, I will be better equipped for the later levels, rather than just trying to book it through for a couple of extra souls.
Yeah, absolutely. I just find that whole kind of the different ways that you can play this game, and like you say, your loadout, you always kind of go for a preferred loadout. What's your preferred loadout at the moment in kind of...
So I think the first time we spoke on the WhatsApp group, I was preferring like a sword and a shield.
Right.
And I love the way that if you just hold the shield up, you could deflect arrows, because in the first couple of levels there's a fair few projectile throwing bods around, so you could hold it up and the arrow would reflect back to them. And equally, you could just jab the shield up to parry a blow. But then I realised the further I was going, the more I just wanted to go for pure damage, and so just like literally wailing in and not necessarily having the chance or opportunity to use the shield. So I've swapped out for a bow, which I think gives me more options, like a shoot a couple from afar to weaken them, maybe knock them out of an attack pattern, then give me a chance to roll in and then slash. So sword and bow is a combo I'm really liking. And then my favourite secondary ones are, there's a trap. It's like a hunter's trap that you can throw down, and it'll snare the enemy and allow you to do extra damage to them. But also you can get small portable crossbow turrets that I love throwing down.
Yes.
So if you get the two, like, those two help me get through the second boss.
Wow, really?
Like, literally, like, because the boss ignored the arrows, so it just constantly just nibbling down on his energy, allowing me to wade through, slash a bit, get away, but always this little tick down of health. That's those two are my favourite, because it's almost like, if it's too tough, just throw down a trap so they're snared, throw down some automatic arrows, and then just grind them down for a bit.
That's just so cool.
Tiny bit cheesy, but it helped me get through. It helped me see what attack patterns some of the later enemies had and push through. Because I know that... were you talking about the ice grenade? Was that one that you were using?
Absolutely, yeah. For me, I was using the ice grenade and the little turret tower as well, the little kind of portable kind of arrow turret. That was it, for one run. I think probably one of my best runs. That was they were my secondary weapons, and that was just great because you could just jump onto a ledge where there may be kind of a couple of big guys, throw both of those down, and then just step out of the way and let them do the damage, and then come back later on and just kind of tidy up. And I just love the fact that you've got, at the end of each world, you have this section where you just level up. So you cash in your souls, which is always worrying when you get over 20 and you're carrying over 20. The panic, you just want to see that doorway to the end of the level, and you can't. You're just looking for it.
I had 52 earlier.
What?
I managed. I found a chest that just gave me like 15, and I went, no.
That's too many. That's too much. That must have been so nerve-wracking.
Oh, like I had a similar situation yesterday when I had about 30.
Wow.
And I just thought, I'm just going to run.
Yes.
I'm just going to run through this one. But I think you've met the teleporting sword guys, haven't you?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So I tried to run away from the teleporting sword guys, and all that meant was that I then ran through other teleporting sword guys. So in the end, I just had a train of about 5 or 6 teleporting sword guys who won't leave you alone, and just running, and they're running, and they're running, and it's like, it's inevitable. And as soon as I got snagged, like, I missed a jump, hit a wall, and then 6 of them were in behind me, and then that was it.
Oh my goodness.
So when I had the 50, I was just going so cautious.
Yes.
So cautious, and then you're just like constantly throwing down the automatic turrets, just like whittle people down. But,
just running behind
tension.
you, just throwing that carnage behind you. It's like, did you ever, when you get to the end of the level and you are leveling up and you have the mutators? There's a character in this kind of mid-level where you have the mutators that just allow you to kind of either add extra HP or add extra damage or extra ammo. But I always go for the extra life first.
Ooh, okay.
So I always go, because I'm always like, a lot of the time, I'm probably too caught up in the battle that's happening, and I'll die. And I'm like, damn it, why did I let that happen? I didn't revive myself. I normally have a whole thing. So I just thought, I'm going to go for that first. So now my kind of default mutator is that extra life is the first one that I do, followed by probably the necromancer, which then gives you kind of some extra HP every time you kill someone. So they're kind of my 2 go-tos at the start.
So the necromancer's the one I always go for first,
right.
Just like getting like a few HP back every time you kill someone.
Mm-hmm.
But then I tend to go for the I've been varying, but the one I tend to go for is on my 3rd one, just get 30% health extra.
Right.
Because I think, especially when you're getting to the 3rd or 4th level, your health is relatively large anyway. So 30% on that is a huge chunk.
Yes.
And then maybe occasionally go for the extra DPS. If you kill an enemy, then you get a bonus DPS for the next 15 seconds, which then helps with my just get in there and kill stuff.
Yes.
Sort of mentality with it. But it's the variety, isn't it? Like, there's extra. You can get extra ammo for the weapons. You can get extra cooldown on your grenades. So it's not just what you randomly find. It's these builds that you can then set up. And I've been unlocking blueprints that will potentially modify these further as well. So it's just one of these things that everyone's probably got a slightly different way of playing it at that point. Because I looked at there's one. what is it? When you resurrect, you get like all your health back, or is it?
No, you only get, I think, about a half of your health. So I think you only get kind of half of that. But if, in my case, where I've got a full health potion, then I can just hit that, and then I'm kind of I get out the way, and then just kind of fill that back up again, and then off I go. So that's why I'm always kind of going for that kind of just extra life.
Yeah, I ended up saving it for the second health potion as well, which is worth its weight in gold.
Yes, the next one's quite expensive. The next one, because as you're going through, you're collecting these cells or these souls, and then you can then start cashing them in for starter items. So I've got a bag of gold sitting there. So when I start, I've got a bag of gold. I'm trying to get to the bag of gold too. I've also enabled recycling as well. So it means that when you get an item, you can hold down the R button on the Switch, and then you can then just get the gold from that weapon. So rather than going, that weapon's not as good as what I have, you can then just recycle that and get some gold. And I always find that helps as well, because I want to upgrade my weapons when I get to that midpoint as well. I then start adding it's almost a plus, isn't it? They kind of give you some...
Oh, yes. Yeah. Every time you say a sentence, there's something else I want to talk about. The modifiers you get on your weapons are superb as well, because they're randomly rolled, and they can have everything from they set enemies on fire, their bodies can explode, you can summon worms that will then attack them. They are poisoned, they get knocked back. There's just so many different effects. And I had a sword that like conjured a grenade every time I started a combo.
That's so cool.
There's just so many random little things that can get attached to your weapons just to throw an extra twist into that run.
Yes.
I particularly, I think I got swords that allowed you to crit if you attacked an enemy from behind.
Right.
Like, so that completely changed how I then played that run, where I was just waiting for people to walk by, I'd drop down and then just stab them in the back. So.
That's so cool. I had one of my runs, I was leaving a path of fire wherever I went. And that was amazing, because then if I just kind of run past the platform and where there were still enemies there, they would just start losing their life. So I just kind of easily go in there, maybe with my bow, and just take them out, just kind of cheese them and just take them out. But it was great. I was just running around setting every level on fire. I was like, I just want this loadout. I want to save this as my favourite loadout. Yeah. But it's very cool. It's just, but like I say, I do like the crossbow, but I like, because you start with the default crossbow, so I'm always kind of looking for that level 3 one that I've unlocked, and I'm just like, where is that? I want that now. That's always my favourite. When I got that, I kind of feel a little bit more comfortable, because I now know that that's going to do damage. But even the arrows of the crossbows are limited, and you have to go back to the enemies that you've just killed to collect your bows, to collect your arrows. So you can't just sit there firing from afar, because you only have 10, 20 arrows, which you then have to go back onto that platform to then pick them up again. There's just no end of cool stuff to this game.
I didn't actually realise that's how I got ammo back.
Yes. You just see them kind of come in, they come back into your character as you run over the kind of dead bodies of the zombie or whatever. And if you just fire an arrow and it hits an enemy, you actually see them walking around with little arrows sticking out of them. And then it's amazing.
Very turret.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you've been the same as me. We've been playing this on the Switch. I haven't put it into the big TV yet. I'd like to see what it looks like on a big screen. But it was so funny. It was so funny this evening. I was thinking, I might play Dead Cells on the big screen. I was like, maybe I'll just buy it on the Xbox. And then I remembered that my Switch actually docks, and you can see it on there. And then I found myself doing a very kind of me thing, which was I checked to see if Dead Cells was Xbox X. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I checked, even though it's like pixel art, I checked to see if it was enhanced for Xbox One X, but it wasn't, because I probably would have bought it if it was. But it was fantastic.
I don't think I could start again.
No,
I don't think I could, because that tweet you spoke about earlier, like where it, like in summary, it's this is a great game. You can feel utterly like a god. When you're sliding through enemies, slashing and just like escaping trouble and then coming back in, like you feel powerful. But then you will eventually die, like be it through just sheer weight of numbers or meeting a boss or just some bad luck. You will die and you will lose some progress as you drop the souls. And I honestly just turn, if I've had a particularly good run, I have to just really be strong to not just turn it straight off at that point in time. It's the biggest thing I hate about it, and it's not. It's the genre.
Yes.
It goes back to. It doesn't have as much carry over as Rogue Legacy, because at least Rogue Legacy, your stats carried over, whereas now it's the potential of your stats carry over.
Yes.
And I have to be in a good frame of mind to carry on at this point. And I honestly can see me not playing it for a huge amount of time because of that. The run I'm on now is over an hour long.
Wow.
And thankfully, with the Switch, I can suspend it and come back later. But as soon as that, if I turn it on and die within 5 minutes, I know it's going to go straight back off until I'm in a better frame of mind to pick it back up.
Yes.
And I think it's this. I get the same feeling from when we play things like Don't Starve or other. It feels like a survival game at that point in time.
Yes.
And I was even talking to Ali about it. Actually, even feels more like a NES or a SNES game. As much as I love my NES, I don't play those games as much as I want to because of the lack of save, because of the lack of continuation. And this reminds me so much of that period in history, not just the genre, just that period where actually I really want to play more of Mega Man, but really I do not have the time, the patience, or the energy to get back through to level 5 to practice against those enemies to then get to level 6.
Yes.
And I think it's obviously this isn't against the game, this is against the genre. I keep having to remind myself Dead Space is great, and I'm bouncing off the genre at that point, because getting so far is such a strong effort to get there. And you can rush through, but you definitely won't be as strong. And so this is the thing that I know is going to make me bounce off. It's just a matter of when.
Yes. I had a really weird thing on the train yesterday where I had a long session. I think I was just over the hour. And then sheer stupidity, I died. It was my own fault, and I was just cursing myself. And I had lots of sales as well, because it tells you how many sales you lost as well when you
in big font.
Rubbing it in. Yes, it's like they shows you. They all kind of cascade out of you, and you can see them. And it was like, so I think I had about 25, and they all just kind of burst onto the screen. So I was like, damn it! And then after that, I just instantly went back into it. But then I had 3 games where I was dying before I got to the first midway point. And I don't know if it was because, I was just I was used to being powered up, so suddenly I've become this kind of weaker version, or I was still trying to play it like that, or whatever. But I just found myself in this rut where I had to turn it off. So I just turned it off, checked my work emails for a bit and stuff like that, and then I went back in, and then I had another good run. But there was something about I was just stuck for 3 goes where I wasn't even getting to the first sort of midway point. But I took the one level that I absolutely hate, and in my last run I've walked away from the open door, is the sewer level.
Oh, yes.
I hate it. Those scorpions and the sewer, the toxic sewer and everything. There's something about that level. Because I know that I meet my untimely death in there every time I'm in there, I panic. If I can't get around it and go somewhere else, I actually do panic. I panic in the sewer, and it's just really weird because there's just something about it it just has me on edge, and I just die every time I get into the sewer. It's bizarre.
I'm spending a bit more time there because I know there's a rune I need to unlock in there, and so I'm spending a bit more time. But I think like most of the enemies, once you get to know their patterns, then it becomes all right. Because I was the same with the crazy slugs that then explode after you do so.
Yes.
But I think most things are a rhythm. Yes. Yeah. I'm sure slugs shouldn't have teeth, but yes.
But it's absolutely bizarre. I mean, so the room that you're going to unlock, is that the one that turns objects? Because in the WhatsApp group, I was doing a lot of tickling. There was a lot of tickling that was happening.
There was tickling. There's some. I'm trying to figure out how to rub.
Yes, no, I hadn't talked about rubbing yet, but now rubbing's the next thing. So I was tickling, and I'm now a master tickler. And if you play Dead Cells, you know exactly what we're talking about. But now I'm getting to a place where I'm just rubbing stuff and nothing's happening. It's just So if I unlock a rune, then my rubbing becomes fortuitous.
I believe so. I honestly ended up earlier today looking at where I had to go to try and find it.
Right.
So I don't know where I need to go to find it. All I know is that it's in the sewers.
Oh,
so I've tried to give myself a bit more, because again it's like I'm being asked to rub stuff on level 5, and it's like going, I feel like I've missed something.
Yes.
Because I think when you can tickle stuff, then it opens up a whole new set of areas.
Yes.
So I feel like my challenge now is okay, if I can get that, then hopefully the next level, like level of progression will I'll be able to embrace, and maybe that'll give me another wind.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and the animation when you are tickling or when you're kicking open those chests, the animation of that is, I love it. Every time I see one of those ginormous chests, because throughout the level you'll find these big chests. There's cursed chests, which I don't like. They're just because a lot of the time you're cursed and it's a one-hit kill, and you've got to kill 10 enemies, and so that's always worrying. But when you kick open those chests, the animation on that, like I say, it's kind of like a really good NES game, because the animation is just amazing on a lot of things. Like when he walks upstairs and he goes into those midpoints, I just appreciate that art style kind of again and again and again. It's just absolutely lovely.
Yeah, no, those I tried a couple of the cursed chests, and it just brings me pain. I don't know if I've had that. Maybe I need to cheese it with my hunter's trap and automatic like crossbow turret again. But,
yes, maybe that's because. Have you tried any of the daily challenges?
No.
Right.
I've never been a daily challenge fan until I feel like I've rinsed the main game.
Right.
Because I don't think I ever really did those on Rogue Legacy that much, because I always felt if I'm going to play it, I want to progress my main character in the main game. So yeah, just left them to one side for the time being.
So I went into a daily challenge yesterday, and the daily challenge yesterday was kind of a one-hit kill in the sewer. So I just turned right round and came back out again, and I was like, nope, I'm not doing this. But it was a really interesting thing that they just, because I think it was grayed out to start off with. You had to start playing the main game first, but now I think when you start the game, it's up on the top level, isn't it? There's just a top level. There's a door with a clock on it, and you can now kind of access that for those daily challenges. But yeah, it was a one hit kill, and it was in the sewer. So I was like, no, I'll try again tomorrow. I'll try that tomorrow, and then just kind of continue with the main game. But I absolutely love it. I just think it's something that's taken me by surprise, but it's such a great game. I just find myself wanting to play it. I was on a conference call earlier today, and my Switch was just to the right of me, and I'm like, can I?
Can I get away?
Yeah, maybe I'll just take the Switch downstairs so I don't get distracted. But yeah, I think, as you said earlier, I don't know what it's like on the PS4 or PC or Xbox, but for the Switch, it just works so well because of that suspension, because you can just hit the button, do something else, then come back to that kind of that long
when it
run.
all gets too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you'd be able to do that would you be able to do that on the Xbox? Because the PlayStation, you can suspend, can't you? You can just...
you can suspend on the Xbox, yeah.
It'd be interesting.
But I don't know why I do it to myself, because basically, this week I've got the two most stressful games.
Yes.
On the go, back to back. And so, along with Dead Cells, which occasionally I just need to pause and step away from, is Overcooked 2.
Yay!
Which, again, occasionally I just need to pause and step away from. So I know you had the pre-release version, but Ali and I only started playing it last week,
right.
When it hits public release, and we've been trying to meter it out, just like trying to steadily go through rather than completely just do it in one night. Also, I don't think my nerves could take that, but we're on the last world. Again, we've been away camping for a few days, so we've been still doing that. But pretty much the first thing we did this morning was have some breakfast, and then Overcooked. Off we go. And it's good. It's good. Any hesitation in my voice is because there's just that lingering stress in the background. And I think we have a different dynamic to yourself and Nicola. In some ways, Ali is still probably the one that gets more het up, because anyone who's played Halo with me will know that if I start concentrating in the game, I probably stop talking and communicating and just go off and do things. So it takes a real effort for me to have to try and just act like a streamer and just tell Ali what I'm doing. But there are certain levels that I just have hit a brick wall and going, I need to step away from this. I need to step back. Because they've increased the trickiness, I think. I know what you said last week, that you think that it might be easier overall. And I think to a degree, yes. Like once you've figured out the trick, the problem, the twist on a level, I think it is. I think we've tended to get a lot of those second, third time at worst. But a few of the times, if we've just had the balloon level where there's fires breaking up, there's levels that you have to control a floating platform.
Yes.
like literally drive it around the level to get to the stations you need. There's levels where you have to drive the other person's thing around there. There are mirrors, like in a Hogwartian environment, that you have to teleport through. And if I'm not in the right frame of mind, like say if I've just come off the back of Dead Cells, so I do not need this. So if all that in mind, it is not a peaceful game, but it is still a really, really good game. Like at the core of it, it is still utterly wonderful. And I think what they've done to it, it is a sequel. You know, they haven't messed around with it too much. It's still a pure sequel, but the things they've added to it, I think, are lovely. The new recipes they've added, like they're adding the cakes and the pancake, they're just enough of a twist to mean that if you just came straight off the back of Overcooked 1, I think you would get a lot out of this. The environments, like the Hogwarts, with the mirrors that you have to go through, or the floating bridges, I think that adds a lot to it as well. But the throwing, the throwing of unprepared, you can only throw uncooked food, so any raw or chopped ingredients. But this is beautiful because it adds either a level of strategy or a level of expertise that I think can easily be missed. Because I think most of the levels can be completed without throwing. But it saves so much time. Like there was a beautiful moment the other day where Ali and I were on one of the taco levels, and I can't remember the specific, but I just lobbed rice from my side of the kitchen and it landed in the pot and started cooking. And then from the other side, Ali just lobbed some like meat that she'd chopped and it landed in the frying pan and started cooking. And it was like we just looked at each other like high-fived and then carried on, because it was such like a magical, unprepared, just rehearsed moment where it just worked. And it was beautiful. It's still great. It is still great. Because have you carried on playing now? You've rinsed it for achievements.
Yes, well, we're rinsing it for achievements because in the same way as Overcooked 1, as I was saying last week, the achievements do not unlock for the second player. So Nicola has gone through and played it single player all the way through for my achievements, so she did that. And then at the weekend, she then realised that she hasn't played it on her own, on her profile, so she played it through again and unlocked and got 3 stars on every level, got all 135 stars on every level, including the Kevin levels as well. So she kind of like, so she's just like possessed, and it's really fun to watch her kind of do it because she is just controlling the two characters and just kind of flipping between them, throwing food to each other, and I just don't know how she sets this one chopping or this one cleaning plates, and then goes and does the other one and just gets 3 stars on it, and it's just it's a beautiful thing to see. So we have also been playing. We've also been playing the versus mode. So we've been playing the versus mode, but I haven't been able to beat Nicola 10 times. I think I'm on 6. So I think I'm on 6, and then and she's already got that achievement. So I've got 2 achievements left to go, which is beat versus 10 times and also play 15 of the arcade mode. So those 2 are kind of outstanding at the moment. And I think Nicola just has to, because I think there's an achievement for throwing 250 items.
Oh, really?
Yes. So and there's also one for putting 99 items in the bin as well. And I just cheesed that. I just went to her kitchen and just kept throwing things in the bin, so which really annoyed Nicola. She was like, "Why are you doing this?" And
what are you doing?
Like, I'm getting the achievement. Kept pausing it every now and then to see my progress just kind of come up. So I think, like I said, I think I've got all but 2, and she has all but a different 2. So yeah, it's just so much fun. But I understand there was a couple of those levels, especially I think the one that we ended up getting into a real rhythm was the one where you have to control the other person's platform. So you had a chopping station, or you had where the food was, then the chopping in the middle bit, and then the cooking at the top. And and each person kind of had their own ingredients, and you met at the top to put them together and put them out. And that, when we got into that rhythm, it was amazing. You know, it was so good I think it was probably about the 3rd time through that level, but it was just, you know, once I'd stopped crying and Nicola stopped shouting at me, you know, once I found that I get 3 stars.
Once you did what you were told.
Exactly. Once I did what I was told, we got 3 stars, and I had a happier time. So I just listened to my wife. That's the key. But it's just so cool. So you're on World 6 then at the moment?
Yes, yeah, we found a couple of the Kevin secret levels as well, but we're going to go back and look for those afterwards. But we are 3 stars on everything before moving on.
Yes.
And I think it's gone a lot better this time round as well, where I'm sure in Overcooked 1 there are a few levels where we had to just leave because we'd done it a few times going, we will come back later and try and 3-star this. But none has taken us more than 2 or 3 goes to do this time round. And after your comments on is it easier, we did wonder whether we're just seasoned.
Yes.
At it.
Nice.
I don't know many people who are going into Overcooked 2 who didn't do Overcooked 1. So I'd be interested to find out, what are the metrics? What does the telemetry say on that side of things? But I think we just have a better analytical view of how we should do these kitchens. Because a lot of the time, if we fail, as soon as it comes back up again, we'll pause it and go, not quite in the "so what did you do wrong" category. It's the okay. What was the best part of it? Is there anything we can do to streamline this process? We'll get up the Kanban board. We'll try and what's the process going through? Get that cake as quickly as possible through to there. Where's the efficiencies? But it's nice when that happens as well, because there are a few levels we thought were utter write-offs. But we just go, okay, we'll just carry on to see if we can get a practice that we can then carry through to the next time, and then we've knocked it out the park.
Yes.
There are a few levels where we've gone, we did awfully, but we somehow beat the total by 200 or 300 points.
Yes.
And other times we did really well, and then we've missed it and just looked at ourselves and went, what went wrong? So it does seem to be all over the shop in terms of, I guess, some of the 3-star balancing.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think exactly the same. There was a couple of levels where, Nicola had already started her critique with our score, and she'd already started the critique, and then we look, and then I'm like, but look, we got 3 stars, and even Nicola, she was like, oh, I don't want to move on because that was a rubbish way to get 3 stars. And I'm like, we got 3 stars, we can move on. We can move on.
The record says we were perfect.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take that win, and then. But yes, and I think you're right. I do think it is to do with you're into that groove, Overcooked now, you've played enough of it, and you know how to look at that. And that's why I like the fact that they've added those extra fun elements. There was a couple of levels when you went into it and you're like, how are we supposed to do this? When there was the rafts that were nowhere near each other, they were just circling, and you had to try and get plates across, and you had to try and throw food across to the other raft, and things like that. There were some crazy levels that you just think, how can I do this? But yeah, I mean, the Kevin levels are always great. They're always good fun. I really like those ones because a lot of the time they're kind of steamed food, I think, so you have to get a couple of things into the mixer. But to unlock them, it's really bizarre because you have to do certain things around. There's no kind of one set pattern.
Yeah, what do we need to do? We're on World 5. No, we're on the last world, World 6, and we've unlocked 2. And even those, we don't know how we unlocked.
Because what we thought it was that we had to get ×4 tips. Because if you're getting your food out in time, your tip increases by ×4, ×2, ×4. And we thought that it was we were getting our tips and we were getting that ×4, and so I was playing something else, and Nicola was going around all of the ones around that Kevin level and getting ×4. But a lot of the time, it is about kind of doing some different things in that level. There was a really good article, I think, on Polygon that had kind of how to get or unlock all the Kevin levels. But we'd already done it because I said, it wasn't ×4. It's actually some weird things that you had to do on each level. So it's not very obvious, but when you do unlock it, you're like, yay! But I don't know how I did it. But it's very cool. I
think it's definitely a guide, I think, for that one.
Yes,
so.
I'll find the link and I'll stick it in the show notes because especially if you're only 2 of 6, because there's 6 Kevin levels, I think. Or 7. There could even be 7.
We thought there might be 1 per world or something.
Yes, there's 135 stars. Kind of max. I think that's kind of the 3 stars per level plus the Kevin levels, and so that's very cool. So what else have you been playing, James?
So the only other thing I have been playing is my usual vice of Sea of Thieves.
Yay!
And I've basically been trying to shoot skeleton ships quite a lot. So I've been enjoying trying to do this because a lot of the folks I play with are, I think, like me. I like to live and let live out on the sea.
Yes.
And so I'm not always one that will just put up the Jolly Roger and just go stealing treasure. I'm just not that way inclined. And so I think, like, I remember that the demos we used to do where it was pure ship combat, and it was nothing but infinite cannonballs and nothing but, taking on galleons, and that used to be a whole hoot, a big lot of fun. And so actually it's really nice to get back to that ways where you have to stock up on the resources this time round, you have to build up your cannons and then go out and take down the skelly ships. And it gives you that PvE of sinking galleons without being just a douchebag to someone else at this point in time.
Yes.
And so a few times just been buddied up with a friend from work. So as a sloop, we took down a whole fleet of ourselves. We had we had a cache of explosive barrels in our crow's nest, and whenever we'd get close by to them, we'd go and grab a barrel, run down, jump over onto their ship, grab the ladder, then just peg it down to the bottom deck and just detonate it. And then try and protect the hole, like try and shoot any skeletons that were coming to then try and patch the hole up. So it was just like, if you could hold it, like you could sink a ship in one smooth, one simple attack. It was honestly, you felt like some sort of pirate god at that point in time when he managed it. Other times we were just really cheesy. We were sinking, so I was taking the water from my boat, and if they were alongside, I was just hurling water into their boat.
Oh, superb! That's so cool.
Just literally transferring the water over. So it's like a range of tactics of this. But yeah, I've got one more battle to try and do this week to get a really nice figurehead of a giant kraken on the front of it. So I need to try and do that in the next 7 days. But yeah. Sea of Thieves, the monthly update.
I love it. That is just so cool. So yeah, because we're planning to maybe kind of hit the seas on Sunday, and just so is this the final week of the curse sales? Does it finish next Tuesday?
This is the final week.
Is it?
Yes, yeah. Then the ships will go into normal rotation, like with Meg and Karen. We started calling them Kelly.
Right.
By the way. Right. So we've got Meg, Karen, and Kelly. Kelly the Skelly ship. So yeah, they will just be then a feature on the high seas in the near future.
Right. Well, that's so cool. So will you ever get to a point? Because I know I think maybe Steve was saying at one time where he had Meg. He had Meg and Karen at the same time. Was that just kind of like a one-off, or is that something where you could get both of those and then the ship would come along as well?
Every time I seem to have like gone into a battle with Kelly, Meg has showed up at some point in time. It's like it seems to be like, Meg was the last big content drop, so she's like, don't forget about me. Hello.
I can tickle you at the same time, but it's fantastic. No, hopefully I can jump in on Sunday, because I would just to kind of just to have one kind of go at the skeleton, the curse cells would be really good fun.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. But yeah. So, apart from Dead Cells and some more Overcooked, what have you been playing, Anthony?
Well, I'm going to start with the disappointment. I'm going to start with it because I've been playing 2 new games, and I'm going to start with the disappointment, and that is We Not So Happy Few. So I've been playing We Happy Few. So I got We Happy Few from Boomerang, the unofficial sponsor of the podcast. I got We Happy Few from Boomerang, and I got it on the Friday. Popped it into the Xbox. It had a quick download. It was Xbox One X enhanced, although you couldn't really kind of tell that, but there was an extra patch for it. And I started playing it, and I think you played a bit of you played the demo, didn't you? The early access kind of couple of hours that you got. So it was very similar to the start, where you go through the original kind of cinematics. You get used to the world. You start redacting things, and then there's the pinata that turns out to be a rat. It's all of that sort of stuff. And then this time, when you went out into the world, it actually broke off into a story instead of the kind of open world, kind of Don't Starve-ish gameplay that we had before. And that sandbox mode, I think, is coming later to this game. So I love the look of We Happy Few. I played it at Gamescom many years ago, and I love the aesthetic. I love the art style. It's all just very good. But unfortunately, the game, the mechanics, the handling, the game itself, the graphics, this game would have been amazing if it had come out about maybe 3-4 years ago when they first announced it. So when they first announced it, if this would have come out at the end of the 360 era, maybe the start of the Xbox One era, you would have just have loved this game, but it feels dated. It feels like a really bad BioShock game. It just feels like and I was really disappointed because I thought I'm going to play this with Boomerang. I've got a couple of others that are coming from Boomerang, and I just thought if I'm into this, I'm going to send it back and I'm going to buy it because it, again, like I say, I just really like the aesthetic. I love the world, but it's just the fact that when you're playing it, it's the same face. You just see the same. The police look the same. You just keep seeing the same people over and over again, and it's just very bizarre. So I started playing an area where you went down and there was this almost like a fight club, and you had to fight and you had to choose a weapon. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to give this more time. This would be good. But the fight itself was so clunky. And then when I finished the fight, the character that I was fighting against then got stuck in some railings, and I couldn't finish what I needed to finish because so I had to restart again, and it was one of those ones where I really wanted to enjoy it, but unfortunately I just could not enjoy it. I just couldn't get myself to that point where I'm like, this is going to bring me out of my lull. Luckily I've had Dead Cells and Overcooked and the other game that I'm going to talk about in a way, and so those games have just kind of really helped. But we happy few. So unfortunately on Sunday, I had another go Sunday morning. I thought I'll just give it a little bit more. Maybe I was tired on Friday, and Saturday I was obviously tired because I've been DIYing all day. So I thought I'd give it a try, and then I just played it on Sunday morning, got equally frustrated and annoyed at it. So I just packed it off back to Boomerang. So it was probably like a really quick turnaround. They sent it out on Thursday and they got it back on Monday, so it was just a really quick turnaround for me. And I just, unfortunately, like I say, it was Xbox One X enhanced and it was HDR, but I couldn't really tell. It didn't really look extra shiny, and it just was, unfortunately, it just was a little bit of a disappointment. I'm sure We Happy Few 2 will be amazing, but unfortunately this didn't sit well with me.
Because when it came out into early access a couple of years ago, I think, because I tried it then, I was surprised that it did seem to be more like a survival
that's the
game
sandbox
at that point
mode.
in time.
Yeah.
I can remember going around like looking for water and food, and going down into like manhole covers or little shops just to try and little dioramas of the life, and there was something going on there. It's changed more from that though, hasn't it? It's gone more story-like. They've tried to pull further away and close to like the BioShock narrative, I guess.
Absolutely. It's very much kind of like when you start, it's very much like find the exit. So you have the objectives are there. And that's when I saw that, when I was playing it on Friday and I saw, find the exit. I was like, yes, this is exactly what I want right now. I want a narrative first-person game. This is what I've been craving. And I got quite excited. But then kind of like half an hour, 45 minutes later, I was like, this isn't the game that I'm looking for, and so it was like find the exit, then it's like, right, go and talk to this person, and then as you're getting to that objective, you get side objectives, and they're all appearing on the screen, and it's just, straight away when I turned on the game, I had to adjust the sensitivity of the kind of the movement, because that was off. There was just, and then when I went back into the game, it went back to the default, and it was a little bit weird. So I just kind of had constantly changing the sensitivity just to make it not so kind of just turn on a die. It was so it just felt just so wrong. But yeah, it was the sandbox mode I think that we played before in early access. That was grayed out at the moment, and that's coming later. So that being able to play in this world and do all of those things, which was very much kind of like Don't Starve, that's coming later. So they've almost shelved the stuff that you played before, and they're kind of introducing you to the world with this story mode. Like I say, I was probably about 2.5 hours in, and I felt bad for letting it go, but I couldn't play anymore without being utterly frustrated by it.
Yeah, it's a shame, because I think there were so many people that saw that trailer, that reveal surprise at E3, and were just completely behind this. I think for me, especially like the British take on the sort of like the BioShock genre,
yes,
shall we say, if that can be that. So yeah, it's a shame that the closed beta sort of pushed, not the closed beta, the early access pushed me away. And I can't say anything you're saying is drawing me back.
I would. Unfortunately, it's one of those ones where I would say just kind of give it. Maybe it'll be better later. Maybe they'll update it, patch it. I know it's not being published by Microsoft, but Microsoft are now kind of looking after that studio. This is on all platforms, and maybe it will be better after a while. But right now, like I say, I just because you're the same as you. When I saw that at E3, I think it was the same E3 that we saw stuff like Ori and the Blind Forest and Cuphead. And there were some things that just instantly it's BioShock meets Clockwork Orange meets British humour in the 60s, and all of that was just like, yep, tick, 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 this is amazing. But unfortunately the packet left me far from happy.
But so you say you said you played 2 games this week, though. Is there a happier story on the second one?
There is. It's a sad story, but it's a happier time, and that is with Walking Dead. So I've started playing the final season of The Walking Dead. So we're wrapping up on Clementine's story. So I'm playing the first episode. I haven't finished the first episode. I am probably about half an hour away from finishing that first episode. But it's great. It feels good to be back to Walking Dead. So I've played all of the games kind of both on 360 and on Xbox One, so my saves are coming over, so I do feel like this is very much kind of my Clementine. This is very much my Walking Dead story, and yeah, it's just so far I'm really enjoying the first episode.
Cool.
Yeah.
I take it's still Walking Dead. It's still one of those games. It's a Telltale product.
It's very much still. They definitely have evolved over. It's still using the same engine. There's still a kind of every now and then this little bit of stuttering, bit of jarring. But one of the things that they have changed is it's HDR now, so you're getting that kind of, it's a better colour palette. But what I have noticed is in the background of the levels, it looks like a graphic novel. So it has this particular art style. So the whole thing is cel-shaded, which looks lovely anyway. But what I noticed was when I was walking down a corridor, the area that you can't get to, and when you're looking at this big manor house, the whole area just looks like it's out of the Walking Dead graphic novel, but obviously in colour because that's black and white. But it just has this aesthetic that just really made me think of a graphic novel, and I love looking at it. I just spent a while just looking at this art style and just enjoying the contrast between the cel shading of Clem and all of the objects that are in the near field compared to what you were seeing in the background, and it just really had a lovely kind of contrast, and I just really loved it. It was very nice.
Nice, because I think that's something that I've enjoyed. As I guess as the engine has gotten better, they can actually stylize it far more rather than just simply relying on, we've got some figures walking around in a bit of a painterless style. So I guess if they're actually enhancing the background, that bodes well for a lot of their other products that they're doing as well.
Absolutely. I think this is the last game on the current engine. I think for the next game, which potentially is going to be the next Fable, so the next Wolf Among Us, I think they're going to be using a new engine. But you've definitely noticed the difference between the zombies and the art style of the first one to the art style now. The zombies were very cartoony in the first couple of games, where I think the New Frontier and the Michonne kind of side story started changing them slightly, so they definitely look a little bit more gruesome. But so this is part 1 of 4. So this one, which is called Done Running, came out yesterday as we're recording on Wednesday. It came out yesterday. We have another one at the end of September, and then there's another episode kind of the start of November, and then the final episode is which is called Take Us Back, and that final episode is on December the 18th. So that's going to be Clem's story. I don't know if they're going to continue The Walking Dead, but this is definitely the final season. They're calling it a final season, but I think it's very much kind of the wrap up of Clementine's story.
Yeah, it seems like it's been going on forever as well. It's
Well,
like that series, I guess, spawned Telltale's success or template, because I know they'd done ones before that, but it seems it's Walking Dead. Walking Dead was the platform, the springboard that launched it all.
Yes. I remember playing it one Christmas. I was listening to maybe a Game of the Year or a podcast that was going through the year of gaming, and they were raving about Walking Dead. And at that point, the entire season was out. And I remember just one Christmas on an Xbox 360, which shows how long it's been going. that I just downloaded the entire series. I think I downloaded episode 1. That's kind of what normally happens, is you buy the game, download episode 1, and then you can buy the season pass. And I downloaded episode 1, and I was just like, this is amazing. At that point, I was reading the comic books. I was watching the TV show. This was a really kind of great take to it. And then I just ended up playing over that Christmas period, playing the entire story just over a couple of days, and just absolutely just loved it. It was fantastic. So yeah, it's nice to be back with Clementine. I'm a little bit worried just in case what they do with the story, but she's older now. She's been through the war. They had a recap at the start, and you just think, poor Clementine, all the things that she's had to put up with over the years. It was like, I did this, and then this happened, and I did this, and this happened.
Tugging at the heartstrings.
It really was. I was like, she's my Clem. But yeah, so I've
all for her to die at the end of this season.
Yeah, exactly. All to just like the final shot. I would just be, as it just ripped my heart out. Why don't you tell Tal?
Yep.
But it was, yeah.
There's a reason there's no more after.
There's a reason the last episode is called R.I.P. Clem. So yeah, so that's why we played. So it's been a really good week actually, kind of with gaming. It's been absolutely superb.
Grand. Yeah, it sounds like we've had a chock.
Absolutely. So let's jump into the news. But before we start the news, don't forget you can rate, review, and subscribe to this very podcast for free on iTunes and YouTube. So in the news this week, Nintendo Online Service is getting closer. Bethesda has something to say about crossplay, and the fate of Luigi is revealed. Dramatic pause. But the first piece of news, James, is with you.
Yes, and it is the news that Timesplitters might be coming back. So Timesplitters, for anyone who is old enough to remember, used to be a first-person shooter from Free Radical Design, which then became Crytek UK. But it was an arcade, fun, crazy shoot-'em-up that basically had the premise of your characters being able to jump all throughout time, which meant that the levels, the game, the story just had a huge variety as it was springboard around the world throughout the ages, which meant the artist just went crazy. It was superb and had so much character, had so much fun, big cartoonish characters, and it was actually the reason I bought an original Xbox.
Wow.
Forget Halo. The reason we bought it because throughout the office at the time, one person got Timesplitters, and then we were all crowded around their desk at lunchtime. And then pretty much over the course of one weekend, most of the office went out and then got Timesplitters too,
Super.
and an original Xbox, so we could just all network it and play against the crazy angry chef that would then gamble through windows and try and hack you to death with his cleaver, and the weird gingerbread man and the tiny monk. It was insane. It was superb. And Koch Media have bought the rights to Timesplitters and also Second Sight, if anyone remembers that one as well. But yeah, Koch Media, who have Deep Silver, they have bought the rights to it and have hinted that it might be more than just simply republishing the old games.
Wow.
They've spoken about how they have a great excitement for the franchise, how they've got fans in the studio as well as they realise, the fans out in the public as well. So there's a real buzz around that maybe the announcement in the last few hours that it might be coming back in some way, shape or form. Obviously, they have only just acquired the license, so this might be some time off. But there is still hope that this zany shooter from 15 odd years ago is going to make a comeback.
Oh my god, that would be so cool. Because it wasn't the original, was it on the PlayStation? Do I remember getting a PlayStation 2 for the play it? Or
it was PlayStation, GameCube and Xbox.
Yes.
It was the triple at that point in time.
It was just so much fun. I just remember, it was almost like, it almost felt like a spiritual successor to the GoldenEye multiplayer. It just...
Well, it was from people who did GoldenEye as well.
Yes, that's why. That's why, Tony. That's why they did that. No, that's it. And I always remember playing it going, this is just like playing GoldenEye. Yeah, so because I was obviously very young then and my voice was that high. But no, that's just, that's so good. I'd love for that to come back. You can just imagine Sunday night gaming with that. That would just be so much fun.
Oh, but the package had the whole shebang as far as I was concerned, because it had the multiplayer, which was just fast and just chaotic and superb. It had the storyline, which was just varied, and had loads of gadgets, if I remember.
Yeah.
But also, I just remember challenges. It had a whole load of small challenges that you had to try and do, against the clock to... I'm sure it was either unlock characters for multiplayer, which was a big draw considering how much we played at the time, or for cheats, which seemed to be, big head mode, which seemed to be the rage. I can't remember which one, but it would just had the 3 pillars at that point in time that absolutely sold it to us.
Oh, that'd be so cool. So I guess we're looking maybe E3 or Gamescom 2020, the return of Timesplitters.
I wonder if there might be an announcement next year in some way, shape,
like a remastered or something.
Yeah, if it's a remastered, I wonder if it might come out sooner than that. But because it'd be interesting to see if it's on back compat on the Xbox One.
I don't think it is. I think everyone would have gone crazy if that would have been.
Yeah, maybe that's the first step.
Yes,
that's the first step, and then after that,
stick it on there. Just release the assets that they've got, and then kind of, Oh, that would just be so good. That would be amazing online. I think the games like that are really good local, where you can just scream at the person next to you for kind of killing you.
Yes.
But at the same time, online would just be just as much fun, I think. If they get their online code right, that would be just so much fun.
It needs to happen, but I think, as you say, a couple of years off, fingers crossed.
Yes, indeed. Oh. And speaking of online, I won't say it. Speaking of online, Nintendo are getting closer. So we're getting closer to Nintendo's online service. And last week, I think, just after we were podding, Nintendo released a tweet to basically say that they're going to be announcing, or they're going to be releasing the online service at the second half of September. So there was a tweet that just said Nintendo Switch Online paid membership service will be launching in the second half of September. And obviously, I think we've covered this before. The online service gives you cloud saves with compatible games. There is an asterisk there. With compatible games. It gives you NES titles to play, which have been they've been improved with online code as well. I think some of the NES titles, like Dr. Mario, now has online capabilities, and also there will be the ability to play online games with such as Mario Kart, Mario Tennis, and Splatoon, and obviously the upcoming Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as well. So they've basically just said that they originally it was announced for September, and they have now said that it's going to be the second half of September. When we get to the second half of September, Nintendo will probably go, it's going to be the last week of September now, and then it's like,
how many days has September got? September 30th?
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's the last hour of the September. So they pushed it to the back half, but hopefully it will kind of hit. And I think there was a really good article on Eurogamer that kind of had the breakdown again of what it was, because it was a year's membership was $17.99. So 3 months was $17.99, $6.99 was for a month, and then there was a $31.99 which gave you 8 accounts. So all of this is all coming kind of at the back half of September. Obviously, we'll keep following this to make sure that to just report back when it happens. But hopefully, this is going to launch very soon.
Yeah, it's still looking as someone who wants to try and figure out whether I want this or not. I still think this is a bit of a mess.
Yes.
Because, I think, as we've said before, like the NES games, like we've got mini NES. I've got a whole collection of cartridges behind me. It's like, is online Dr. Mario going to be enough for me to do this? And looking at what we've got with Games with Gold and with the PlayStation Plus catalogue, is it really there? Because honestly, Urban Champion, it's not really worth warranting playing single player, let alone multiplayer. And the cloud save, to lock the cloud save behind the paywall, I think is cheeky. Fair enough, you need to pay for the infrastructure, but I think Microsoft and Sony have earned the right to actually try and lock stuff away because they've proven they can do this. The biggest question I've got with Nintendo is, can they actually do this?
Yes.
We've still got friends codes. We've still got just this abstraction away that doesn't actually make me think they know how to do infrastructures. Now, you look at Splatoon, and fair enough, this was a game decision rather than a hardware or infrastructure decision, but they locked one of the best modes away behind intermittent days, like the salmon run. We couldn't play when we wanted to.
Yes.
So at this point in time, I am not I want to see this in action. I want to see what I'm paying for before I stump up for this, because I have no faith that this will work off the bat as intended, or be indeed as they say it will be.
You can just imagine that you're taking it as gospel that they're saving your saves, you've uploaded them to the cloud, and really the cloud upload's not working, and then you get a new Switch when they announce a new Switch or something like that, and suddenly your Mario save is gone, your Zelda save is gone. It's just, I think for me, I am, obviously the online play is a plus. The NES titles are very nice sprinkles on that online cake. But for me, it is that cloud save, because I can't back up my saves to all of the games that I'm playing, to my Dead Cells save, to my Mario Tennis, to all of those games that I've been playing, because I can't back those up. And I'm taking my Switch everywhere where I go. If I lost it, if I left it on the train, if I did anything like that, then they've all gone. And I just want that, having that peace of mind, I think for me is almost worth that £31 a year if it works.
Yeah, right. Well, you say 31's for 8, so maybe we could split it between the Sparks. That will work quite nicely.
Exactly.
But if it does work as intended, then $17.99 a month probably actually seems fair for what they are offering, because it's not anywhere near as conclusive a service as Xbox or PlayStation, which charging twice as much. So ratio wise, this probably plays out. But the biggest question I've got is what. Will I play anything online?
Yes.
I look at, actually, we had a great run with Splatoon when it came out. I will probably, despite everything that I'm saying, get Smash Brothers just to have a dabble. Whether I'll play online, maybe if someone of the Sparks does, then we can have a bit of a blast. So maybe I'll just get coaxed in for that. And I'll probably end up signing up. Despite all this, I just know myself. So ignore anything I'm saying.
Well, especially if they say
validity to my
especially
comments.
if they say you get online names, you'll be straight away to getting Big Sheep.
Hey, Big Sheep's reserved. I've got the Big Sheep. So
at the moment, we are just a label, aren't we? Next to our, there could be multiple Big Sheeps on Nintendo services right now.
Quite possibly, we are just a number.
We are just a number to Nintendo, which, it as you said earlier, it befuddles my brain that they went into this brand new piece of hardware, brand new infrastructure, and they didn't think let's get some people from Xbox, let's get some people from Sony to come over, maybe not Sony because their network's just as rubbish, but let's get some people over, and then that's how they're doing it. Let's do the same, and that's, I know that Eric Newstader, who helped kind of put together the initial kind of Xbox Live from Xbox Live, is working for the Pokemon Company right now. But he's working for the Pokemon Company. He's not working for Nintendo. So, someone like that would have been the perfect poach for Nintendo to go, let's find the guys who created Xbox Live, because as much as I love my Xbox Live from day dot, maybe not day dot because that was the original Xbox, but it's always been good. It's always been up. It's always worked. It just kind of does work really well, and you can change your names. You can do all of this. You can move from console to console. You get a brand new console now, and all of your settings are all in the cloud, and they just come down, and it's all just lovely.
Yeah.
It's just that's what you need to do, Nintendo, and then people would happily part with their cash.
Yeah, and maybe they've taken the time to actually do this. This is why it wasn't out 18 months ago. Fingers crossed.
Achievements.
I need to see this. I need to see this before. Yeah,
it'd be so good to then suddenly start getting compatible achievements. All my games start popping, and I get Nintendo stars. Oh, that would be so good. That would be so good. It would just feel great. Because I said that to Nicola this evening while we were having dinner. I said, it would be so good. I might play Dead Cells. I was talking about Dead Cells. I said, I might play Dead Cells on the Xbox because then I can get achievements as well. She's like, but you're playing it on Nintendo. I'm like, yes, but there's no validation of how good I am. No one knows. I want those achievements. I want those rare achievements.
Although the flip side, though, isn't it? It's like going, I've been playing this for 30 hours and I've only got 2 achievements.
Yes. Oh, I hate those games where you go, it's really funny now. When you start playing a game and you get past the first level, you almost expect that toast to happen. You're like, well, I've done the first level. I've done the tutorial. Where is my achievement for getting past that? And it's just, a lot of games are not doing that now. They make you work for that first one.
It's cruel.
It is.
Teasing
it's cruel.
almost at that point. You throw a few easy ones just to draw them in, because then it's locked on the card. They have to carry on then.
I tell you what's really interesting, when we were playing Overcooked, because we did get an early copy, and it was it locked the achievements behind it. Just if you looked on Xbox Live, we were just playing home, we weren't doing anything else. And then, so when the game unlocked, just I think a day before, then started showing the achievements, all of our achievements were just normal, but then as people started playing, they all became rare. Which was really interesting, because obviously the percentage has grown, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's a mix between, I don't know if there's a critical mass. I guess, if you played it only when there was 1,000 copy out, then they suddenly sold 1 million.
Yeah, they suddenly just all, they were for normal achievements, and suddenly they all went to rare achievements, and it was like, oh, look at that, it's so pretty.
I feel special.
Yeah, exactly, it's all pretty, it's all lovely. So anyway, James, the next piece of news is with you.
Yes, it's more about online as well, and this time it is Bethesda talking to Sony. Over at QuakeCon, they started talking about Legends, their card game based on the Elder Scrolls franchise. And one of the questions they got asked was about crossplay. And they pretty much called Sony out for it. The quote from, who was it who said it? I have lost the name. Here we go. It is Peter Hines, Bethesda's Senior Vice President of Marketing and Communication, talking at QuakeCon last week. So although they've got something like Fallout 76, they're not that worried by comparison for the cross-play nature of that. They feel that there's enough games out there like Destiny or so that Fallout 76 can stand on its own. If you don't necessarily have the same crossover, that's fine. Whereas they say it's completely different for Legends because of the type of game it is. So Hines goes on to say, but for Legends, it's absolutely critical. Both crossplay, which is how Legend works right now on every device. You're playing against someone who could be on any device. And more importantly, cross-platform progression. So the thing they're really focusing here on is the fact that they want you as the player to be able to play on your tablet, on your PC, on your Xbox or your PlayStation, and know that you can carry your progress from one to the other just simply by signing in. They don't want a Fortnite situation where actually those who are on PlayStation are locked out and you have to only play on PlayStation. Because how we just spoke now about admittedly, it's achievements. We want to play something like Dead Cells on the Switch because it's on the go. But it would be great if we could then play it on the Xbox as well that had, achievements. We're wanting the best of both worlds there. Well, actually, something like Legends can achieve that because it is just a sign into a remote server and drag down your data. It doesn't really care about where it's at. And so it sounds like they actually want to try and take the battle to Sony and get this cross-play working. They go on to say that it could cause problems and they will have to try and tackle it as it goes, but talks are ongoing. They say we continue to make our case for this is how it needs to work and this is how it needs to function, but we are moving ahead with the assumption that any platform we release on must support cross-progression and cross-play. They're aware of the conflict, but it's something they've got to try, and I'm guessing Epic are sort of continuing to beat the hammer as well. So it sounds like they've got another Epic as in large, another large publisher banging the drum for this cross-play that Sony are currently preventing. Although they have said, the conversations are across with everyone as well. It's Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, Apple, and Google. But yeah, Sony are the ones they call out on this one, thanks to a question from the audience.
Wow, that's fantastic. Do you feel, and do you see that it happening at some point, maybe PlayStation 5, maybe the next Xbox, that we do get this cross-play happens, not just on these small... It's hard to call Fortnite a smaller game, but not on these just kind of lighter games like Fortnite, like this Legends game and card-based games, but also on larger games, that you would be playing Destiny across servers, that you would be able to play FIFA across servers.
I think it might be a slow switch across, because I can see something like this or Fortnite being the first one where you bring in your settings, bring in your saves, shall we say. In the same way that if you sign in with an MMO on any PC, if you sign in on Hearthstone on any device, it drags down your save game from the cloud. I can see that being the first slight giving to this cause, because at least then you're not having that battle. Because I think one of the things that they've always said, and Microsoft said this in the past as well, that they weren't they couldn't guarantee the quote unquote safety of their users. You know, if you were getting people in from outside their ecosystem, the same rules wouldn't apply to everyone. You know, especially on PC where it's comparatively lawless. But those barriers are tumbling from Nintendo, from Microsoft, from Google, and what have you. But I think that would be the first way to go, because it's the least offensive possibility, because you're just pulling down settings.
Yes.
You're acknowledging the fact they played elsewhere, but it's just your progress, and I think that would be a big win. As for full crossplay, I think it's going to take a big shift, because Sony have dug their feet in so hard at this one. I think it's going to be one of these like E3 announcements. It's going to be a proper fanfare when it actually happens. So whether they're saving it, I don't think it's going to come with a new console. I think that would be, the console itself will be enough of a fanfare. So maybe it comes before that. Maybe it becomes when they need a PR win. But I think that part is a long way off.
Yes, because the last sales figures that Sony had there was like 80 million PlayStation 4s that were out there in the wild, and that's what Sony have said. It's like, why do you need to go elsewhere? All of your friends are here, and they then quote that amount of players and amount of PlayStations out in the wild. So that's why they're not doing it, because they don't feel they need to.
And financially, that's exactly what they need to do. Yeah, they are calling the shots because they can call the shots. So.
Yes. But from a gamer point of view, and because of and it's great to see Nintendo and Microsoft kind of pairing up, because as they are the second and third, so it's great to see those guys kind of going, look what we're doing, we're over here, we're playing, and then that could lead to something amazing as well. And it would only be a moment in time where everyone starts looking at PlayStation, which they are now, going, why can't we do this? Why? And then whether PlayStation will just dig its heels in and just say, this is it, we're not going to allow, or the tables turn and the Nintendo-Microsoft double bill, kind of the next iteration, the next gen of consoles, they then start winning that, and that's when PlayStation suddenly goes, well, what about us too? And then they allow that kind of connectivity. I'd love to see, as a gamer, I'd love to be able to play cross-platform. I have some friends who have got Battlefront 2, but they've got that on PlayStation, and I've got it on Xbox. I think last time Battlefront came out, I ended up buying it on both PlayStation and Xbox because I was playing with different people, but I didn't play enough on the PlayStation, so it'd be really nice to. My primary console is Xbox, so it'd be really nice just to be able to play, be able to join up and just play with that. But it is a dream. I think it's a dream for a lot of people, even in our kind of extended WhatsApp groups. Whenever a new game comes out, a lot of people are like, what are you getting this on? And there are some people that stay on PlayStation, or there's some people that are on Xbox.
Yeah, it's a set in your ways thing, isn't it, at that point? And you've seen it. I think it's changed since launch. I think when we first started launch, everything was PlayStation, but it's now sort of like curbed somehow toward, I think mainly because a few of us have got the X's at this point rather than the Pros, and it has edged in this direction. Yes. But it does mean that we have got friends who are playing Overcooked 2 on PlayStation, and we are unable to meet in an online kitchen to throw burgers at them.
Which is probably a good thing.
Yes. Friendships will remain.
Yes, exactly. Because it's out on the Switch as well, isn't it? Overcooked 2. Yes, it's actually out on the Switch as well. Yes. So that'd be quite good fun, because you could just detach and then play. It's quite easy to just play that. I think that would be a really good one. I think I said it before, but it'd be a really good team building game. In a meeting, just kind of before we start, we're all going to do this. So that'd be quite cool. Actually, speaking of Overcooked 2, I'm on a roll. Speaking of Overcooked 2, there was some news was announced yesterday that they are going to be bringing Team 17 and the maker of the games just escaped my poor little brain.
Is it Ghost? Something?
Yes, Ghost Town Games announced that they are going to be bringing New Game Plus to Overcooked 2. So what this means, elation for Nicola, is that each kitchen is now going to have a 4th star. So where we were talking about earlier, where we were just getting the 3 stars on some of the levels, they're going to, the new Game Plus will mean that all 45 kitchens will now have that 4th star. So this update is going to be coming soon. So this will be coming soon to Overcooked 2, and they also said we'll have more updates and also more content coming to Overcooked 2 in the next weeks and months. So they're going to be New Game Plus first, and then new content is going to be coming out, which is similar to what they did with Overcooked. I remember we were at EGX talking to the guys of Ghost Town Games, and they just said at that point, they said, like, we've got DLC, which I quickly called Nicola and told her, they've got DLC coming. So she was very excited about that. So the same thing is going to happen with Overcooked 2. We're going to have DLC, more levels, but more importantly, every kitchen gets a 4th star.
I just... I don't know how to feel about this. We've said that we might have to go back through and do the achievements on Ali's profile as well, so maybe this is a good excuse to do it.
Yes.
But yeah, I like this. I like this approach though, because although last time around I think they did 2 batches of DLC, didn't they? In terms of levels, there was
Christmas one.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Christmas batch and then a new batch of levels, and we rattled through those. But I love this incentive to go back through the original. Maps as well, because there are some ones that you just complete once.
Yes.
And then you might fluke it, like we said earlier. You somehow thought it was a car crash, but you managed to get through it, and you don't tend to go back. Like the way that both of us play, it's we perfect and move on, perfect and move on. So this is a good excuse. I think they've done a real nice job of just going like, how do we get everyone to go back through and see everything?
Yes, indeed. And also, because you've already completed it once, the 4th star, maybe that's when we start doing online stuff and have 4 people in the kitchen, and do stuff like that, because it allows you you've already done it, so you've already got 3 stars on all the levels, you've done the game, so this allows you to maybe have some more fun in the kitchen rather than
fun.
Yeah, fun in quotes.
But there was one point where Ali and I turned to each other and she went, "Why do we do this? Why is this fun?"
But honestly, I've said it before, and I do love watching Nicola play it, because we got to a point where we were playing it where we had to limit the time, and we've got a lamp in the movie room that comes on when sun sets, and I was like, we'll play until that lamp comes on, because she gets so excited, and then the lamp comes on and she's like calling the lamp names, like, because it's a fun sponge, and it's
like a child before bedtime.
It really was. But I was like, you've got to stop now, because you need a good hour to wind down, it's just like, I'll go and have a cup of tea, it was hilarious. So yes, there was, but you're right, there's sometimes when you just look at a level and go, why are we playing this game? But it's just such a good game.
Yep.
And it was so cool. So that's coming soon. We don't have any dates, but like I say, we've got Gamescom is next week.
Yes.
Gamescom is next week, so maybe an announcement during Gamescom for the new Game Plus date. But then they said within months we'll have some DLC, so which will be fantastic. James, the last piece of news is with you. Yes,
and it is simply Luigi Ain't Dead.
If that's not the title of this podcast, I don't know what is.
So anyone who saw the Smash Brothers Direct last week will have seen them callously just scythe Luigi in 2 to promote the Castlevania characters coming onto the Smash roster.
Yes.
But this has led to speculation in the Smash Brothers community as well. Because along with savagely murdering the best character in all of Nintendo, they also teased one of the new game modes as well. There's a bit of a blurred out section on the home screen that they showed us, just teasing us. And along with Mario's death, I think in the previous trailer where they showed Ridley from Metroid coming along, because in that one Ridley just swooped down and left Mario's hat spinning, and the main plumber had just disappeared from view. There's some sort of like rumour and speculation amongst the fans that maybe this is actually part of a wider mode.
Wow.
And that if you examine the icon on the front screen, that if you squint, it might actually say the word spirits. So they think that possibly there might be a lot of, I don't know, you have to try and summon back the characters of the fallen to then make them take part in the game. I mean, this is all
Destiny DLC.
But yeah, there's various threads on Reddit and all the fan communities speculating that the deaths are pointing to some sort of gameplay or game mode within Spirits. Because previously we've had what the hell was the first one called? There was some sort of subspace emissary,
right,
or whatever it was
right.
called. There is always some sort of single player adventure that you get to go on with Smash, and to tie all of the characters together is going to be quite hard. So yeah, maybe this is a way you actually have to resurrect all of the characters up, like defeating the bosses, because they've said a lot of these characters might only be bosses.
Yes.
So yeah, it's all speculation, it's all fun, but hey, I think if Luigi's leading the charge on this is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our big green boy headline stuff.
The year of Luigi 2. They're going to have another... Well, you must have...
This was just for memorial.
You must have freaked out when you saw that. You probably kind of just saw it on GIFs and a lot of people pinging you on Twitter.
It was the first scene I saw when I turned the stream on. I realised I was running late for the stream, so turned it on, and the first thing I see is my favourite boy just getting killed. It's like, what?
His eyes went white. His eyes just were white. They were pupilless eyes, and it was horrible.
I didn't even get the fun of them teasing. Like, there was it's probably for the best. I missed the part where they were teasing the Luigi's Mansion, because I would have just freaked out at that point.
Yes.
So, but
one day that will happen, because that's what I thought. I was like, okay, this is a Nintendo, this is a Smash Brother, but maybe they're just going to say, Luigi's Mansion, coming in Christmas, and there was but it wasn't. They were just killing him off.
They are just such trolls. Like, you look at all the videos they've announced, even the bit where they introduced King K. Rool from Donkey Kong. They even teased that it wasn't going to be King K. Rool.
Yes.
At that, because it was King Dedede dressed up to look like the silhouette. It's like, you are just monster trolls at this point. You are just toying with your community, which I love. I love they have a sense of humour to do so, but they are just cruel people on every level.
Yes, they know what we want. They know what we want. They know what we crave. They're probably seeing those metrics every time they announce something, and they're like, they want Luigi's Mansion. We're not going to give it to them. We're just going to troll them for all time. But it was just so that would just be like I think Steve and I were talking last week. It's an interesting thing, kind of, because there's like 103 levels. The character roster is just ginormous. Like, this will be the last Smash Brother. This is like the ultimate Smash Bros.
Where are they going to go from here? Who else are they going to squeeze in?
It's really interesting, because when you do kind of look on Twitter and forums and like Reddit, all you see is people trying to get other characters in, like Banjo. They're trying to get Banjo-Kazooie. They're trying to get Crash Bandicoot, and just trying to get more and more characters into that roster. And I would, if I was someone who held those IPs of those beloved characters, I'd be like, yes, put them into this game. Put Master Chief into that game. We'd all buy it then. We would.
I am actually really quite intimidated by this package, though, because
you'll just play Luigi.
I feel
that's
like
all
balance
you'll do.
might go out the window. Yeah, I'm just Kirby and Luigi. That's the only two characters I need. But like, during that last presentation, it just felt that numbers were as important as the content. At that point, they're going, look how many songs we've got, look how many levels, look how many characters, look how many echoes, and I worry when they start focusing on that it's a quantity over quality metric.
Yes.
And I'm sure it'll be fine at the end of the day, but when everything is a graph, that really makes me start raising an eyebrow and going, is this really the best way to show off your game?
Yeah.
If like going, look, it's just more. We put more in. More is good, isn't it? More. When I get to the level select screen, it's like, I don't know.
You're just going to go to the random square, aren't you? And it's just like, just go there.
Just give me Mario 1-1. It's fine.
I just want one that looks like Animal Crossing, and then I'm happy.
Yep, there we go. That's
it. Exactly.
Luigi and Kirby Animal Crossing, never moving from those settings.
There you go. What more do you want? You just lock it down to that. So that's my select screen, just two big tiles. You've got Kirby or Luigi, and that's it.
Save those settings to the cloud, and then never look
exactly, which you can when you pay, I don't know, what was it, £30 a year? Superb. So Luigi's not dead. Always a good note to finish, knowing that Luigi is still alive.
Every episode we'll just play the national anthem and proclaim Luigi ain't dead. It's fine.
Don't worry, Luigi's still alive. That's about it for the podcast. And that is about it for the podcast. Big thank you for listening. And James, huge thank you for pulling up on mic.
Pleasure as ever, thank you, sir.
Don't forget, you can keep up with us at gamerslostspark.com. You can also find us on Facebook. On Twitter, we're at LostSparkPod. You can find us on YouTube and also the Gamers of Lost Spark PS4 community and Xbox One Club. James, where can people catch up with you?
I am Big Sheep on Twitter, Xbox Live, PSN and Nintendo.
Excellent stuff. For me, I am Chessman on Xbox Live and Nintendo Switch, PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network, and also Chessman UK on Twitter. Don't forget, if you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That's feedback@gamersoflostspark.com. That's about it, James. Say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Yay.